Captain Frank Elias stood tall on the white floor of the Galactic Council chamber. Bright lights shined down on him from the high ceiling. Around him, 50 alien representatives sat in rising seats, looking down at him like he was a bug under glass. Captain Elias of Earth, said Counselor Zex, a tall blue alien with 4 arms. You broke our most important rule. You helped the people of Vega 6 when their sun was about to explode. We told you to watch and do nothing. Frank did not look down. He was not sorry for what he did. His dark uniform was clean and perfect. His eyes were clear and steady. I saved 2 billion lives, he said. If that's wrong, then your rules are wrong. The council room filled with angry voices. Some aliens stood up and pointed at Frank. Others turned colors to show they were upset. Silence, yelled Counselor Zex. Humans are new to space. You have been among the stars for only 50 years. Our council has kept peace for 10,000 years. You must learn your place. Frank looked around the room. Some of the aliens would not meet his eyes. They knew he was right, but were too afraid to say it. The people of Vega 6 were about to die. Frank said. They had no spaceships. They did not know about the danger. My ship could save them. So we did. That was not your choice to make, said Counselor Drev, a small green alien with big eyes. The Council decided long ago that we do not interfere with planets that cannot travel in space. This is our most sacred law. Frank shook his head. On Earth, we have a saying. With great power comes great responsibility. We do not sit by and watch people die when we can help. The room grew quiet. Frank could see some aliens nodding a little. My crew agreed with me. Frank continued. We used our ship, the Horizon, to push the biggest moon of Vega 6 into a new path. The moon pulled the planet just enough to avoid the worst of the sun's explosion. Yes, they saw our ship. Yes, they now know they are not alone in the universe. But they are alive. This is exactly why the law exists, said Counselor Zex, slamming a fist down. You have changed their natural path. Their culture will never be the same. Better a changed culture than a dead one, Frank replied. An old alien with skin like stone slowly stood up. This was Counselor Tom, one of the oldest members of the council. Captain Elias, do you understand what you have done? For thousands of years, we have watched many civilizations die. It is sad, but it is the natural way. Some survive, some do not. You humans have been given a great honor to join us. And now you show such disrespect. Frank looked straight at the old alien. With respect, sir, if letting billions die when we could save them is your way, then perhaps humans should find our own path. The room exploded with noise. Some aliens were yelling for Frank to be punished. Others were quiet, thinking about his words. Counselor Zex raised all 4 arms. The council will vote. Captain Frank Elias of Earth, you will wait outside. Guards led Frank from the chamber. He waited in a small room for 2 hours. When they called him back, he could see the decision on their faces. Frank Elias of Earth, said Counselor Zex, you are no longer a captain. Your ship will be given to someone who follows our rules. You will return to Earth and never fly in space again. Frank stood straight. He knew this would happen, but he was not finished. I understand your decision, he said calmly. But know this, what I did was right. Humanity will not follow laws that go against our deepest values. Today you judge me. Someday, history will judge you. As the guards moved to take him away, Frank saw something unexpected. 3 of the younger council members stood up. Then 5 more. They did not speak, but their message was clear. Not everyone agreed with his punishment. Frank smiled slightly as they let him out. This was not the end. It was just the beginning. Frank Elias sat in a small cell on the council station. The room was plain with just a bed and a small table. The guards had taken his captain's pins and communication device, but they had not taken his resolve. On Earth, news of Frank's trial was spreading fast. Diane Powell, the human ambassador to the Council, stood in a large meeting room full of Earth's leaders. Her face was tired, and her voice was strained. "The Council has made their decision," she said. "Captain Elias is stripped of his rank. The Horizon will get a new captain." The room filled with angry voices. General San Martinez stood up, his face red with anger. "This is wrong," he said. "Elias saved billions of lives. We should be proud of him, not punish him." "I understand your feelings," Diane said, "but we are new to the galactic community. The Council has been the law for thousands of years. We agreed to follow their rules when we joined." "Bad rules should be changed," said Dr. Laura King, head of Earth's Science Division. "What's the point of having all this technology if we can't use it to help others?" Back on the Horizon, Lieutenant Alan Foster sat at the captain's chair. He had served under Frank for 7 years. The crew was quiet, waiting for news. "Lieutenant," said Officer Patty Green from her station, "we have a message from Earth Command. They're sending Captain Joseph White to take command of the Horizon." Alan's face grew hard. "When will the new captain arrive?" 3 days, said Patty. "We are ordered to stay at this station until then." Alan looked around at the crew. He saw the same thing on every face. They all believed Frank had done the right thing. "Call a crew meeting in 1 hour," he said quietly. Meanwhile, in her private office, Ambassador Diane Powell made a secret call. A small hologram of Frank appeared. "They're watching you," she said, "but not as closely as they should be. I have friends who can help." "I won't run," said Frank. "That would only prove them right." "This isn't just about you anymore," Diane said. "The Council is sending representatives to Earth to make sure we understand our place. They want to put limits on our ships and technology. Many people on Earth are angry. This could become something bigger." Frank was quiet for a moment. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm saying sometimes you have to break rules to change them. The Council needs to learn that humans won't just bow down and follow orders we believe are wrong." "That's a dangerous road, Diane." "Maybe. But I've been in the Council chambers for 3 years now. I've seen how they look at us, like we're children who need to be controlled. Is that the future you want for humanity?" Frank thought about the billions of people on Vega 6 who were alive because of his choice. "No," he said finally. "It's not." That night, the guards outside Frank's cell heard a loud noise down the hallway. When they went to check, the cell door opened from the outside. A young alien from a species called the Navari stood there. "Quickly," the Navari said. "Ambassador Powell sent me. We don't have much time." Frank followed the Navari through dark service tunnels. They reached a small ship in a maintenance bay. "Can you fly this?" the Navari asked. "I can fly anything," Frank said. As Frank prepared for takeoff, his helper handed him a small device. "This has messages from others who agree with you. You're not alone, Captain." Back on the Horizon, Lieutenant Alan Foster addressed the crew. "Tomorrow, we will receive orders to return to Earth. The Council wants to make an example of Captain Elias and restrict what humans can do in space. Each of you must decide. Will you accept these limits, or will you stand for what's right?" The crew was silent. Then Officer Patty Green stood up. "I joined this crew to explore and to help. I stand with Captain Elias." One by one, others stood. Soon, the entire room was on their feet. Alan nodded. "Then we have work to do. The Horizon will not be returning to Earth tomorrow." As Frank's stolen ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, he didn't know that soon he would not be alone in his defiance. A rebellion had begun. 1 month passed since Frank Elias escaped. The Council was angry. They sent ships to find him, but he seemed to vanish into the vastness of space. The Horizon never returned to Earth as ordered. Lieutenant Alan Foster, now acting as captain, had taken the ship to the outer edges of human space. 20 other human ships had joined them. On Earth, people were divided. Some said Frank and the Horizon crew were traitors. Others called them heroes. Earth's government tried to stay neutral, not wanting to anger the Council. Frank's small ship landed on a rocky moon far from any main space routes. A group of people waited for him in a hidden base built inside the moon. The base was simple but growing. "Captain Elias," said Kate Nelson as she greeted him. She was a tall woman with short red hair. "We've been waiting for you." "I'm not a captain anymore," Frank said. "Not to the council, perhaps, but to many of us, you still are." Kate led Frank through tunnels to a large room filled with screens and communication equipment. People worked at different stations, monitoring space traffic and council communications. "What is all this?" Frank asked. "The beginning of something," Kate said. "After what you did at Vega 6, others started to question the council's rules. I'm a xenobiologist. I was on Terrace 4 when a disease was killing the local people. The council forbade us from helping because they hadn't reached space travel yet." "What did you do?" Frank asked. "I helped anyway. I created a cure and secretly gave it to them. Then I had to run. That was 6 months ago. Since then, I've found others like me. People who believe we have a duty to help." Frank looked around the room with new understanding. "How many?" "Hundreds now, from 15 human colonies. And the Horizon isn't the only ship that's joined us. We call ourselves the Intervention Network." A young man approached them. "Captain, I'm Sam Lopez, Communications. We just got word from Lieutenant Foster. The Horizon will arrive tomorrow." Frank smiled. "Good. And stop calling me Captain." "That will be hard, sir. You're the reason many of us are here." Kate showed Frank to a small room where he could rest. "There's something else you should know," she said. "We're not just humans anymore." The next day, Frank stood in the main hangar as the Horizon docked. Alan Foster was the first to exit, followed by the senior crew. They saluted Frank, who returned the gesture. "The ship is yours again, Captain," Alan said. "Thank you, but this is bigger than me now. We need to talk about what comes next." They gathered in a large meeting room. Frank was surprised to see 3 aliens among the group. A Navari like the one who helped him escape, a tall insect-like Drell, and a furry mantarid. "These are our allies," Kate explained. "Not all species agree with the Council's non-interference rules." The Navari spoke. "I am Zin. My people have always questioned the old ways, but we were too few to stand against the Council alone. Humans have given us courage." The meeting lasted hours as they shared information. The Council had placed new restrictions on human ships. Earth's leaders were under pressure to find the rebels, but support for their cause was growing. "We need to show people what we stand for," Frank said finally, "not just running and hiding." "What do you suggest?" asked Alan. "The planet Doran is facing a major drought. Millions will die without help. The Council knows but won't act because the Doranians don't have space travel. The Horizon could transport water purifiers," Officer Patty Green suggested. "We have the technology to create rainfall." "The Council will send ships to stop us," Kate warned. "Let them try," Frank said. "It's time to show the galaxy there's another way. If we save those people, others will see what we're fighting for." Everyone in the room looked at each other. They knew this would start a direct conflict with the Council. There would be no going back. "I'm with you," Alan said first. Then Kate nodded. One by one, humans and aliens alike agreed. Frank looked around at their determined faces. What had started as one act of defiance was becoming a movement that could change the galaxy forever. The Horizon moved through space toward planet Doran. The ship had been changed. Its outside was stronger now, and new weapons had been added. But the biggest change was in its crew. Humans worked side by side with aliens who had joined their cause. On the bridge, Frank looked at the screen showing Doran. The once green planet was turning brown as its water dried up. "Captain," said Officer Patty Green, "our sensors show 3 Council ships near Doran." "They were expecting us," Frank said. "Are the water machines ready?" "Yes, sir," Alan replied. "Enough to save 10 major cities." Frank nodded. "Send a message to the Council ships. Tell them we're here to help the people of Doran, and ask them to stand aside. Minutes passed. Then a message came back. Horizon, you are ordered to leave this system immediately. Interference with Doran is forbidden. They're moving to block our path, Patty reported. Frank stood. I want to talk to them. On the main screen, the face of a council commander appeared. He was a Centauri, with gray skin and 4 eyes. Captain Elias, the commander said with anger, you are a criminal who stole a ship. Leave now, or we will fire on you. Commander, Frank said calmly, millions of people on Doran will die without water. We have the means to help them. Please, let us pass. The Doranians must find their own solutions. That is the law. Sometimes laws must change. Frank said, we are going to help these people. Please don't try to stop us. The commander's face grew dark. Then you leave us no choice. The screen went black. The 3 council ships moved toward the horizon, weapons ready. They're going to fire, Alan warned. Evasive action, Frank ordered, but don't fire back unless absolutely necessary. The horizon moved quickly, trying to get past the council ships. Energy beams flashed through space. One hit the horizon, making the ship shake. Shields at 80%, Patty reported. Frank was about to give another order when the ship's communication system came alive with new voices. Council vessels, this is Captain Julia Lee of the Earth ship Defiant. Stand down. Council vessels, this is Captain Rick Nelson of the Earth ship Freedom. We are joining the Horizon on its mission. Frank looked in surprise at the screen as 5 human ships appeared. They had been hiding behind Doran's moon. Sir, Patty said with excitement, it's ships from the outer colonies. They've come to help. The council ships hesitated. They had expected 1 rebel ship, not 6. Captain, Alan said, while they're distracted, we can make it to the planet. Frank nodded. Take us down. The others will keep the council ships busy. The horizon raced toward Doran's surface, while the other human ships surrounded the council vessels. No one fired, but no one backed down either. On Doran, people with brown skin and 4 arms looked up in fear as the horizon landed outside their biggest city. They had never seen a spaceship before. Some ran away. Others watched from a distance. Frank led a team out of the ship. They brought the water machines and set them up quickly. How soon can we make rain? Frank asked Kate, who had come as the science expert. 20 minutes to power up. Then the clouds will form, she answered. A group of Doranians approached cautiously. Their leader, wearing simple robes, spoke in their language. The horizon's computer translated. Who are you? Are you the gods our stories speak of? No, Frank said gently. We are people from another world. We've come to help with the drought. The translator shared Frank's words. The Doranians looked confused, then hopeful. The council said we should let them solve their own problems. Frank said to Kate, but they don't even know there are other worlds yet. How can they ask for help from people they don't know exist? High above, the standoff continued. The council ships demanded the humans leave. The human ships refused to move. Then something unexpected happened. 2 more ships appeared, but they weren't human. One was Navari, and the other Mantarid. Council vessels, came the voice of the Navari captain. The humans are not alone in their belief. We too stand with them. On the planet's surface, the machines hummed to life. Clouds began to form in the dry sky. The Doranians watched in amazement. And in council headquarters, far across the galaxy, Councilor Zex received the news with disbelief. This was no longer just a human problem. It was becoming a galactic movement. Rain fell on Doran for the first time in 2 years. The Doranians stood in it with their arms raised, their faces full of joy. Children ran and played in the puddles forming on the dry ground. Frank watched from a distance, not wanting to frighten them. Kate stood beside him, checking readings on her device. The machines are working perfectly, she said. This rain will last for 3 days. The water tables will start to refill. And the seeds we gave them? Frank asked. Fast-growing plants that will help hold the soil and provide food. In 2 months, they'll have their first harvest. A message came through Frank's communicator. It was Alan from the horizon. Captain, the council ships have backed down. They're leaving orbit. Good, Frank said. What about our allies? The colony ships are staying to help distribute the remaining water machines to other cities. The Navari and Mantrid ships want to meet with you when you return. They say more of their kind want to join us. Frank looked at the celebrating Dorinians. We'll leave in the morning. Make sure our actions here are recorded and sent across all channels. People need to see what we're doing. That night, as the human team prepared to leave, the Dorinian leader approached Frank. Through the translator, he said, "You came from the sky to save us. Our children will tell stories of this day for generations." Frank shook his head. "We are not gods or saviors. We are just people who believe in helping others. Will you return? Others like us will come to check on you and help if needed, but your future is your own." The next morning, as the Horizon prepared for takeoff, Frank received an urgent message from Earth. It was Ambassador Diane Powell. "Frank, the Council has taken extreme steps. They've placed weapons platforms around Earth and demanded your surrender. They're also restricting all human ships from traveling between colonies." Frank's face grew serious. "How is Earth responding?" "The government is divided. Some want to give you up to protect Earth. Others refuse. But that's not all. The Council enforcers fired on a passenger ship they thought was helping your group. 30 civilians died." Frank closed his eyes briefly. This was what he had feared, innocent people getting hurt. "The people are angry." "Frank," Diane continued, "Admiral George Wilson just resigned in protest. He said he won't work for a government that lets aliens dictate human actions." "Where is he now?" "On his way to you with 3 military ships. The rebellion is growing faster than anyone expected." Back in space, the Horizon met with the gathered Allied ships. There were now 15 vessels. Human ships from various colonies, and ships from 4 alien species. They formed a circle in space, and Frank spoke to all their captains through a shared channel. "What happened at Doran proves what we've been saying. We can help others without controlling them. But the Council's response shows they fear this idea. They're willing to hurt innocent people to stop us." "What do we do now?" asked Captain Julia Lee of the Defiant. "We become the change we want to see," Frank said. "From this day forward, we are the intervention fleet. Our mission is to help those in need, regardless of their technology level. We will be the conscience the Council lacks." The captains agreed. They would split into groups to cover more space, helping where they could and recruiting others to their cause. As the meeting ended, a Navari captain spoke up. "There's something you should know, Captain Elias. My people have been watching the Council for centuries. We have discovered something disturbing." "What is it?" Frank asked. "The Council doesn't just avoid helping developing worlds. They actively keep some species from advancing. They sabotage technologies, create artificial disasters, all to maintain their control of space." Shock spread through the gathered captains. This was worse than they had imagined. "If that's true," Frank said slowly, "then our mission just became more important and more dangerous." The ships prepared to go their separate ways, each with a purpose. The Horizon would lead a group to meet Admiral Wilson and his military vessels. Frank looked out at the stars. What had started as one act of defiance was now a fleet, and soon it would be an armada. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Many seats were empty. Some members had stopped coming. Others had openly joined the rebellion. Councillor Zex slammed his 4 hands on the table. "This human defiance has gone too far. They are turning our own members against us. We must crush this rebellion now." Councillor Tom, the old alien with stone-like skin, looked troubled. "Using weapons against Earth will only make more species turn against us. We need to think carefully." "Think," Zex cried. "While we think, they act. They have helped 7 more planets in the last month. 7. Species that should not even know about space travel now look to the stars and wonder. A younger council member named Lara spoke up. She was from a species called the Volti. Perhaps we should consider that Captain Elias might be right. Our non-interference rule was created long ago. Times change. Traitor, shouted another member. You sound like a human. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. For the first time in thousands of years, the council was truly divided. Far away, the intervention fleet had grown to over 50 ships. They gathered at a hidden base in an asteroid field. Frank stood before a map of the galaxy, planning their next moves. Admiral Wilson, Kate, and leaders from allied species stood with him. The Council has pulled ships from across the galaxy to surround Earth, Admiral Wilson said. They think that's our weak point. Meanwhile, said Zin, the Navari, we found proof of Council interference on 3 worlds. They destroyed research labs on Pelok 7 that were close to discovering faster-than-light travel. Frank frowned. We need to get this information to all species. The Council has been lying for centuries. Kate had been working on her tablet. I may have a way, she said. The Council uses a network of communication relays to stay in contact across the galaxy. If we could access that network, we could send a message to everyone at once. The main relay station is at Centtory Hub, Admiral Wilson said. It's heavily guarded. But not impossible, Frank replied. We'll need a small team to get inside while the fleet keeps their defenses busy. They made their plans quickly. Frank would leave a small ship to Centtory Hub while the main fleet created a distraction. Alan and the Horizon would lead a group to Earth to help if the Council attacked. As they prepared to leave, Ambassador Diane Powell arrived at the base in a small, fast ship. Her face was grim. The Council is fracturing, she said, but the hardliners are gaining control. They're talking about making an example of Earth. How bad? Frank asked. They've moved planet-killer weapons into position. They say either you surrender or he'll attack Earth to show what happens to species that defy them. The room fell silent. Even the most committed rebels looked shocked. How long do we have? Frank asked. 3 days, Diane replied. I came to warn you as soon as I heard. Frank looked around at the gathered leaders. We need to move now. Admiral, take half the fleet to Earth. Protect it at all costs. The rest will come with me to Centtory Hub. We have to get the truth out before they can attack. As the meeting ended, Frank pulled Kate aside. I need you to do something important. Take our evidence about the Council's interference and go to their homeworlds. Some of them still don't believe what their leaders are doing. That could be dangerous, Kate said. I know, but we need more allies. If even a few more Council species join us, the hardliners might back down. In the ship bay, Alan approached Frank. The Horizon is ready. We'll protect Earth. Frank nodded. I know you will. Be careful. The Council is desperate now. What about you? Breaking into Centtory Hub won't be easy. Someone has to do it, Frank said. Besides, this started with me. It's fitting that I'm the one to send the message. As the ships prepared to leave, Frank looked at the star map once more. Countless worlds, so many people who never knew how the Council had controlled their fate. One way or another, everything would change in the next 3 days. The rebellion that had started with one act of defiance was about to face its greatest test. Centtory Hub floated in space like a giant metal flower. It was the center of the Council's communication system. Messages from across the galaxy passed through it before going to their destinations. Frank's small ship approached quietly, using special technology to hide from sensors. With him were 6 crew members, 3 humans, and 3 aliens who knew the hub systems. We're almost in range, said Ella Kim, the pilot. No sign they've spotted us yet. Good, Frank said. Remember, we need 30 minutes inside the control room to send our message to all worlds. Meanwhile, the larger part of the rebel fleet jumped into the system from the other side. drawing the hub's defenders away. Explosions lit up space as ships fired at each other. "They've taken the bait," Frank said. "Let's move." Their ship slipped into a small service dock. The team moved quickly through the station, using access codes from a sympathetic worker. They wore council uniforms to blend in. At Earth, Alan and the Horizon arrived with 25 ships. They found 10 council warships already there, weapons aimed at the planet. "Defensive positions," Alan ordered. "Spread out to cover as much of Earth as possible." The council commander sent a message. "Leave now. This is council business with Earth." "Earth is under our protection," Alan replied. "We will not leave." On the Horizon's bridge, Officer Patty Green monitored communications. "Sir, more ships are coming out of faster-than-light travel." "A lot more." Alan watched as ship after ship appeared, not just human vessels, but ships from a dozen different species. They formed a protective ring around Earth. Where did they all come from? Alan asked in wonder. "Captain," said a young officer, "I'm getting messages from the new arrivals. They say Ambassador Powell and Dr. Nelson contacted their governments with proof of the Council's lies. They've come to stand with us." Back at Centtory Hub, Frank's team reached the central control room. They found it lightly guarded. Most security forces had gone to fight the rebel fleet. "How long to access the system?" Frank asked a Navari technician named Trill. 5 minutes to bypass security," Trill said. "Then we can send the message." Frank nodded. "The rest of you, guard the doors. We need to hold this room." Trill worked quickly at the control panel while Frank prepared the message. It would include all their evidence of the Council's interference, records of planets they had saved, and a call for all species to choose their own path. Suddenly, alarms blared. "Someone found the ship," said Ben Foster, one of the human team members. "They know we're here." "How much longer?" Frank asked Trill. 3 minutes to get past the final security wall." "Hold the doors," Frank ordered. "Whatever happens, this message has to go out." The team took positions at the 2 entrances. The sound of running feet echoed down the corridors. In the council chamber, an emergency session was underway. Councillor Zex was giving orders when a young assistant rushed in. "Sir, our forces at Earth are facing hundreds of ships, not just human vessels. Many council species have joined them." "Impossible," Zex shouted. "And there's more," the assistant continued. "The Centtory Hub is under attack. Our sensors detect a small team has entered the main control center." Councillor Tom stood slowly. "It's over, Zex. Too many know the truth now." "Nothing is over." Zex slammed his fist down. "I've given the order. Our ships at Earth will fire in 1 hour if Elias is not surrendered to us." At that moment, Councillor Lara and 5 other members stood. "We withdraw from the council," Lara announced. "We will not be part of this madness." "Traitors," Zex screamed. "You will regret this." At Centtory Hub, council security forces broke through one of the doors. Laser fire flashed across the room. 2 of Frank's team fell wounded. Almost there, Trill called over the noise. Frank dragged a wounded team member behind cover, then fired back at the security forces. "How much longer?" "Done," Trill shouted. "The system is open. Send the message now." Frank connected the data device to the console. With council forces pushing into the room, he activated the transmission. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, the council's communication system came alive. The truth began to spread. About the council's lies, about planets saved, about a new way forward. As Frank sent the message, he knew the real battle was just beginning. But now, at least, it would be fought in the open. Frank's message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On thousands of worlds, people learned the truth about the Council's lies. Videos showed planets saved from disasters. People helped, and evidence of the Council's secret interference. At Centtory Hub, Frank and his remaining team were captured by Council forces. They were taken to cells deep in the station. "It doesn't matter," Frank told his worried companions. The message is out. Nothing can change that now. At Earth, the standoff continued. The Council warships still had their weapons aimed at the planet, but they were now surrounded by hundreds of ships from many different worlds. In the Council chamber, chaos ruled. More members stood to leave. Councillor Zex shouted for order, but few listened. "We must act now," he cried. "Show them the cost of defiance." Councillor Tom stood before him. "If you attack Earth, you attack all of us. The old council is finished. Zex. Too many worlds know the truth now." Just then, Kate Nelson entered the chamber. With her were representatives from 20 council species. "The lying must end," Kate said. "We all want the same thing. A galaxy where advanced species help those in need, not control them." "This human has no place here," Zex shouted. "She speaks for many of us," said a Drell representative. "Our people have voted. We reject the old ways." One by one, representatives from major council species stepped forward. They had seen the evidence. They had watched as humans and their allies saved worlds while the council did nothing. "We propose a new beginning," Kate said. "Not a council that rules, but a compact that serves." Meanwhile, Alan received a message on the horizon. Frank had been captured at Centtory Hub. Without hesitation, Alan gathered a rescue team. "The council is falling apart," he told his officers. "This is our chance to get the captain back." The horizon jumped into faster-than-light travel, heading for Centtory Hub. When they arrived, they found the station in confusion. Many guards had abandoned their posts as news of the council's collapse spread. Alan's team moved quickly through the station. They found Frank and the others in the detention area and freed them. "Perfect timing," Frank said with a smile. "Earth is safe," Alan told him. "Hundreds of ships came to help, and Ambassador Powell says the council is being dissolved." Together, they left the station and returned to Earth. They arrived to find the council warships leaving. The threat was over. 1 week later, representatives from over 100 species gathered on Earth. It was the largest meeting of different worlds ever held. Frank stood at the back of the room, watching as the future took shape. "We're calling it the Galactic Compact," Diane Powell explained as she joined him. "Very different from the council. No rulers, just helpers." "Will it work?" Frank asked. "It's already working. 15 worlds have received help in the past week alone. Technology is being shared, not controlled." Kate joined them, along with Zin the Navari and representatives from other species. The first vote of the compact was unanimous. Kate said, "All advanced species have a duty to help developing worlds when they face extinction-level threats." "They're calling it the Elias Principle," Zin added. Frank shook his head. "I never wanted to have a principle named after me." "Too bad," Diane said with a smile. "You started this when you decided to save Vega 6. Later, Frank stood on the Horizon's bridge. The ship had been repaired and was ready for a new mission. "Where to, Captain?" Alan asked. Frank looked at the star map. "There are so many worlds out there that need help. Let's find them." As the Horizon left Earth's orbit, Frank thought about how much had changed. One decision, to help instead of watch, had transformed the galaxy. The old council was gone. A new age had begun. In the years that followed, humanity became known across the stars not as conquerors or rulers, but as helpers. The species of Vega 6 eventually developed their own space travel. When they joined the galactic community, they were surprised to learn that the ship that had saved them years ago had changed the course of history. And whenever anyone asked how it all began, they would tell the story of how Captain Elias defied the Galactic Council, and humanity followed.